Um,
What up, Aaron?
that was the best. That was sometimes I come back to back into these calls. And any of you that don't get the reference, sometimes I come back to back into these calls. And if I'm not careful, I can come in so freaking hot. And I came into one of our client calls and I'm all, what up, my people? Or something crazy in terms like, whoa, Aaron's coming in a little hot this morning. So that is the reference. Thank you for that, Taryn. Always makes me laugh.
Yes. Yes, always good to note what meeting you're about to come into before you join.
Especially because that was one of our L10s where the team's a little bit more quiet, like they're not high energy team anyway. So then it really was a huge splash in the lake, big old boulder in the pond.
Yep. Awesome. Well, glad to have you again this week, Aaron. We had a fun conversation with McCall last week. Awesome operations slash sales slash ninja for Faith to Influence with Justin Janowski, doing incredible things over there. Did you enjoy the conversation?
I love McCall. I mean, I feel like of all of our clients, I feel like I give him the most shiz. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I jab at him the hardest because I mean he's young, right? So it's just fun. And he works from a flip phone exclusively, right? Which is just an opportunity to jab. But I will say this: what I've been most impressed with about McCall through the years is just like dude is every room he walks into. I don't think he's as young as he looks, right? But I do think he looks pretty young, just like you. When you shave down, you get a lot younger when you shave, which this is a weird time of the year for you to be so cleanly shaven, but not neither here nor there. Um, McCall walks in and he seems really young, and I think that people can discount him because he seems so young. But then once the guy opens his mouth and he starts leading a room, like it's impressive how McCall can take over a room and get them to move a direction, which obviously is what you want in a great sales guy. But also, it's cool just to see Justin recognizing talent, bring in McCall in, and him really being Justin's right hand dude, and then just to see how far they've run the business together has been really cool.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, side note for you, I did tell my wife, I did tell Lauren, she got me an electric razor. I'd shave every day. And so she got me one for Christmas, and now I'm living up to my commitment.
Wow. See, so I was gonna
Every
make a
day.
marriage, I was gonna make a marriage joke in there, but I thought I better wait for Taryn to play the card because I don't want to be like, is Lauren making you shave? But I will say you looked a lot scruffier before you got married, I think, so I
Yeah.
think it
Yeah.
makes us all better,
Yeah.
brother. Makes us all better.
Thanks. Yeah, McCall's been great. It's been fun hanging out with him in person at events, hanging out with Justin too. My first live event I went to where I was by myself without you or anybody else I knew. Justin was actually my roommate. So it was
Yeah.
fun to meet him there. And it was a bit of a blessing because it was March Madness and he's really into basketball. And at these live events, you're working, like 14 hours a day. And when you're done, you just want to go to your room and go to bed. You don't want to chit chat.
Try.
So Justin was just catching up on his basketball games every night, just with his headphones on, and it was perfect. I was just like, awesome. You do you. I'm just gonna pass out.
Live events. My first live events that I ever did was with Keith Yackey, right? And Keith Yackey is just so freaking social. Like Keith Yackey is such a verbal processor, right? I love him. Who doesn't love Keith Yackey? He's like the most lovable guy in the world. But like we would come in after the evenings, and I was actually sharing a room with Keith on one of the first events we did. And I remember like put my head down on the pillow, and Keith is such a pillow talker, like just would want to talk to me late into the night. And I'm like, Keith, bro, you got to check out whenever you're done speaking. Like I've been running hard since early in the morning, late into the night. Like I don't have any bandwidth left for like small pillow talk, but it was always Keith and I always joke around about pillow talk. So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing McCall mentioned that's pretty hot topic. We get asked this question a lot was around sales, scheduling calls. Like there's different platforms people are using. I've helped him out with different
Yeah.
issues he's had trying to solve for which platform. Two of the biggest ones people are using right now, Calendly and Schedule Once.
Right.
I know their team's using Calendly for a lot of things. We're able to hybrid it into how he wanted to use Calendly,
Right.
especially for the big functions. If you're using Schedule Once versus Calendly, depends on calendar integration, especially people who don't have like
Right.
a dedicated business email with your company or trying to integrate outside people. So it's definitely something a lot of people are talking about. Which should I go with, Calendly or OneSub? I think I got asked that question again last week, and it's like It really depends until you can get granular on what you're looking for, because most of them, they do 75% of the same thing. Then the extra 25% is really dependent on your use case, on which one you should choose.
I think it seems like where Calendly has picked up a ton of speed is they give the free, they let you use it free for all that time until you need some of the more, advanced features. And so whereas
Mhm.
Schedule Once, no, you're buying in from the day one, you want to start using something, you're paying. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of people default to Calendly. And I think we see a lot of this within all of our clients is sometimes the danger of going with something free is that you don't think about scale, right? So you start here, you love it free, you know what I mean? And it's really nice when you have multiple people on your team. Like we use Calendly for some things, we use Schedule Once for some things, or Once Hub. But the trick can be once you get to scale and then you need a bunch of cool integrations or you need to plug it into a bunch of different things. I think Justin's team, like with Round Robins and some different things there where they needed it on the backside of like
Mhm.
action taken, like some of those things. And all of the platforms are upgrading, so I don't want to use
Mhm.
old data as a reference, but I remember that particular engagement was, how are we going to do round robin and how am I going to feed these to multiple different people? And like you're saying, if I don't have like corporate wide visibility into schedules, calendars, it's hard for it to be able to grab like that. And so interesting for sure.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I personally use Calendly. Aaron personally used Schedule Once.
We're still friends. We're still friends.
We're still friends. There's no clear winner there. We're both paying for it. I like what Calendly gives me. Aaron likes what Schedule Once gives him.
But really, in all honesty, I think even when we early adopted Schedule Once that became Once Hub, that was the go-to. You know what I mean? And then Calendly kind of splashed onto the scene pretty loud. And so I think all of us kind of get become creature habit to the tools we know, tools we use. I know for me, the worst thing any of these platforms can do is all their upgrades. They're like, let me show you this new upgrade and totally change the whole dashboard and how everything works. And I'm like, mother, I had like 2 minutes while I was on a call to try and adjust something in my schedule once before I pushed out my link. I don't want to try and figure out how all the new updates work. So anyway, it's always fun when they do those things. And so, but I think that probably keeps a lot of people from changing from what they know, especially as you build a brand, you know what I mean? Because then it's like, okay, so how many places is this thing integrated? How many places have I used this or offered this? Like where is it all gathered, and then having to go back through and needle through your CRM to see how many email messages or how many of your ClickFunnels pages or how many places you've tucked it in somewhere, in your membership areas. And like, I think that's always tricky. They make you sticky when you get committed to them at the beginning. Hi,
Mhm.
Savannah. Savannah, how much do you love snow in Wyoming, negative 30-degree weather, and then getting behind a slow truck on the way from dropping off your kiddos at daycare? Do those three things make you the most happy girl this morning or what?
It's always an adventure in Wyoming. So as long as I'm not slippy sliding on the ice, I'll take being behind a slow truck, I suppose.
Because you did end up in a snowbank the other day, right? Not too long ago.
Yep, I a little over a year ago I totaled my car slippy sliding on ice, and then just a few weeks ago I got stuck in a ditch nose first. So Savannah and ice aren't a good combination. So I usually just
No
make my husband
way.
for now.
So Savannah's a warrior, and I just want everybody on this call to know Savannah's like texting and sending out email messages and doing all this stuff, nose down in a ditch, waiting to be pulled out. Like Savannah's a beast. So
Yeah.
You
Did
know
you
what
go
else
to
am
the
I gonna do?
Did you go to the snowbank to try to withdraw some cash?
oh, that's awful. That's the worst like dad joke ever. Snowbank to withdraw some cash. It was so bad it took Savannah that long to get what the punchline was.
Yeah,
I
but you
did
got
it.
it right away. 'Cause you're
I'm a
you
dad.
love that.
He's a pro dad. He's a pro dad. I'm not there yet.
Yes, yes.
Well, yes. For those of you listening, a snowbank is not where you withdraw cash.
It's
Um,
not
don't
even
take
one.
it.
Not even
So,
one
and
of
we are
them.
just discussing schedulers. We always get asked which ones to use. Schedule Once versus Calendly. That's what we're discussing. I use Calendly. He uses Schedule Once. Got any further thoughts on that?
I've only used Calendly. I personally love Calendly. Does Schedule Once have a free version?
That's exactly it. Bang. We just talked about that. And this is how I think that Calendly just scoops up the table is they offer everybody the free versions. And then Tara and I were just talking about it until you get in so deep and you're like, is this going to integrate with everything I want? And then you're like, oh no, but we're really committed. So I think they make you sticky.
For basic folks like me, it's great because I only need like the half-hour scheduler. And then of course I can extend it if I need to, after the fact, and then I can set up my availability so easily. So you get a lot for the free part if you're just one person.
You really do. And I don't want to dog on free. We always advocate for free. Every client we pick up, we advocate for free as long as you can ride free. I just think realizing at some point when you do have to make that purchase, then there may be the question of, is this free platform still going to be what's best for us, and how deeply integrated is it? We're in a very precarious situation with Asana right now of, we've got 15 members on the team. That's what Asana gives you for free. And I'm like, do I want to pay $8 for all 15 people every month? Like, nope, that guy doesn't need to be in here anymore. That guy doesn't need to be in here anymore to try and keep us in the free. So it's always a bind. Those freebies, they suck you in.
Yeah.
I love how they've figured out how to hook you. It's with the integrations. They're like, we're going to let you use this, but we know eventually you're going to want to integrate it. And once you want to integrate it, that's when you'll upgrade.
Or dashboard reporting, right? That's the other one where they get you by the neck, right? There's like, oh, do you like all this data we've been aggregating for you? We would love to show you if you'll just buy into this, da 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 da. And I'm like, I just asked Aaron the other day, I'm like, I just sent you the screenshot. I'm like, do I do it for Asana? Because I wanted to know some of the metrics. And he goes, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not that important.
Yeah. I think another thing that McCall really touched up on is, when you're trying to ask somebody, what do you do? And it's like, you freeze. You're like, we're kind of doing a little bit of everything here. We're a small team. What do you mean? What do I do? What don't I do?
That's my favorite part about when I made my LLC, where they're like, what services do you do? And I'm like, other.
Consulting is so broad. We just do consulting.
Yeah. Well, I learned that it's, you really bring up a lot of red flags if you say consulting work. So I always just put project manager.
Yeah, it's smart.
0 red flags. Every business has one.
Yeah,
across the board.
I will say, but what I found the danger was because obviously, especially at the CoLab team, like really we're in that weird zone of what do we do? At least like McCall's a sales engine. That makes sense. You have marketing firms, that makes sense. But when it comes to what we do, we're like an operations consulting company. Truly, that's what we're doing. And we also play the middleman, right? Where we'll jump in and we'll hold the space for a team, and then we'll help them recruit and bring people in and fill our spot. So it's like, where exactly does that fit into the spectrum? And so I found that, because I use project manager all the time, up for a bit, but then when I started talking to people, they're like, so, but what do you do exactly? And then I realized, yeah, that just doesn't fit for everything that, when I started explaining it. But I think for the IRS and being able to declare something to the Fed, I think project manager sounds good, Taryn.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Awesome. Well, I'm going to open up another section of the call today that we like to call Cool Tools. Cool Tools of Taryn. Everybody's been talking about this one, so I figured why not give us a chance to talk about it. I even saw Payson where we talked about it on stage for like an hour, one of our clients, bringing it up there. Pretty cool conversation he had. It's a pretty cool tool, and it's a little bit controversial right now because robots taking over, people are pretty scared of. And as soon as you start talking about a robot being able to do something way faster than you can do, to me personally, I think that's a highly productive tool, because it's not taking my job, it's streamlining my job. But for some people, yes, I understand. My friend, I just asked him if he'd heard of it, and he was like, that's funny. I just wrote an economics paper in my class about how ChatGPT is like ruining education because people are writing papers with it. It'll write a whole paper for you. It'll write a book report for you. Wow. So I did spill the beans. We were talking about ChatGPT right now. First heard about it maybe 3 weeks ago. And then after that, I just kept seeing it everywhere. So it's pretty cool. I haven't got to be inside of it yet. So I'm excited that are you going to take us on any kind of tours? Do we get to see anything? Yeah, I'm going to show you a real use case that I found for it. Yes, dude. I love field trips. With Lauren's work, messing with it with my work every once in a while. I just found some fun stuff. So
then I'm going to show you guys a useless case.
Yes, I love it. A use case and a useless case. And I just want to go on record as saying I usually advocate always for Arnold Schwarzenegger and Terminator's quote about like, don't trust the machines. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a little bit apprehensive. So win me over, Taryn. Mm-hmm. I'm going to show you what I found out to be a pretty cool way.
I was thinking about this. It basically, you can feed it information and then ask a question about that, or you can ask an open-ended question and it knows everything about the internet, limited to before 2021. So you can ask a lot of stuff. So what I did is I took an SOP video I created for somebody. I went over here to the transcript button and copied it.
Oh, I'm about
And
to be
then
so excited.
went over here to my chat and I said, create a simple SOP checklist from this transcript. Ugh.
Oh,
Yeah. Use case you want to see.
Well, it's currently
don't worry, guys. Your jobs are safe.
I kept getting an error notice that it's under high demand. So let's hope it
Which
works.
makes sense.
Here we go.
Wow.
See, what's cool about this though, watching it go is like watching the steps. I feel like the steps are like a little bit long. And so this is an example of where it doesn't replace you because you're still obviously you need a human to go through and look at it. And then like we're probably going to like simplify a lot of it, right? Like we're going to like change terminology of it. We're going to simplify the way that it's worded. So it just made it something that takes maybe an hour. Maybe it's going to take us 15 minutes now.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, this is complete, and it's got a few errors I can go through. I can update those real quick, but it makes it so I can give a video tutorial and then I can just drop in a simple quick checklist. I can even say, make it shorter and simpler.
Crazy.
Love it.
That's it. Let's just narrow it down even more.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's a pretty cool way that it's utilizing just information you can feed it rather than information it can get in the world. Is you can just paste in a transcript. You can probably even, another cool way you could probably try it is if you're using Fathom, maybe you can paste in your transcript from Fathom and say, pull out all to-dos.
Wow.
And see if maybe it pulls out every time something was asked of somebody to do.
That
I haven't tried that yet.
Guys, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
So I love this part of it. I'm excited to see what else I could do with it. But this is definitely going to help me just create that SOP checklist, because whenever I give a video, I always like to just give a quick checklist. So that when you're doing it 6 times later, you don't need to watch the video. You just want to make sure you're hitting those items real quick.
That's pretty amazing, Taryn.
You scared, Aaron?
No, I think it's badass. I love it. I think that's incredible. I've heard all kinds of contexts of people talking about this. Like, just like I had never heard of somebody writing their papers and all that stuff that you were talking about, man, just debunking education. But I will say, I was talking to a client the other day and he's like, so man, financials get really complex for me and I have a really hard time understanding it. So I went to ChatGPT and I typed in, explain to me a simple way of understanding how da works. And he's like, it was amazing. It processed the whole thing all out for me. I've just read through it. I'm like, that actually makes sense. Like, so I think it's pretty crazy.
With the reports and everything, like, I mean, if you think about it, since, I mean, even before the internet, people have been finding a way to like cheat on their homework for, it's a tale as old as time. And kind of like the AI that I've been mostly focusing on, and the controversy on that has been like the art side of it, because that's been a huge thing. And there's like hallmarks that you start to notice in like little distortions, and you start to like recognize what those distortions are pretty quickly after you look at it. Like the human eye just kind of notices things that aren't human. So if a teacher is going through their paper, like I feel like there's probably going to be tells if a student is like having it write the paper for them and they're not taking the time to go through it and make it their own. Like there's going to be things that I think will be probably like easily recognizable from a teacher to be like, use the AI for this.
Mm-hmm.
Taryn's got tells. I'll tell you what, when I play poker with Taryn, he's got a tell. I know exactly when he's cheating. I know exactly what he's going to do to try and beat me. I know it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's when I start singing, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. As soon as I start singing that, I got a good hand.
So when you're whistling it, you're just
So
whistling it.
happy right now.
I'm not
Oh,
gonna whip
good,
it.
Rogers. Love it.
So,
Savannah, did you have a
I am-
non-work case? Did you have a non-work case?
Yeah, so the one that I have, I did not create it. But it's something that came up this week, and it's someone actually combined ChatGPT and Midjourney, which is the visual one that I was just talking about that's like super controversial. And so someone used ChatGPT to put in descriptions of Lisa Frank. I don't know if you remember Lisa Frank from the 90s, the super rainbow unicorns, aliens, leopards, and then also put in information on Frank Lloyd Wright, and then made Midjourney prompts that made Lisa Frank Lloyd Wright. So let me,
Exciting to show us.
I'm gonna show you.
Oh,
Can you see it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
wow.
Wow.
These were all computer generated, you say?
Yeah, so this is using Midjourney, which is currently mostly free in Discord, and you can create some really cool stuff in there. But that's where where a lot of the controversy is stemming from on the art world, because they have fed in all of these artists' content so that it knows their style. So you can basically say, like, I want this portrait of this person. Here's a photograph in this artist style, and then it'll give it to you. And so obviously that's a big scary thing for a lot of artists, because artists already don't really make a lot of money. But I'm actually like, I'm the only artist in my circles that's like, I think it's kind of cool, because in my opinion, like I said, like once you look at a few, you can see that it's not made by a human. And if someone is taking the time to put something in a computer for free, and they're okay with the weird uncanny valley, like computerized version of it with like the mangled hands, because it can't do hands, it can't do pupils, that's not your customer anyway. They're not giving you $1,000 for a portrait that you're going to do. They're not paying anything into the system. That's not your customer. So like, I get it. Like, people feel like their work is being stolen, but at the same time, like, I don't feel like these people are losing anything. If anything, someone's going to see that style and be like, oh, I actually want that for my home, and I have the money to commission an artist to do this custom thing. Like, so I'm on the other side of the fence than most artists in the sphere, because I get it, but I'm like,
there's a sexy burning love. Hey, dude, good to see you.
But yeah, and then someone else used ChatGPT. There's a song by Simon and Garfunkel that's called Farewell Frank Lloyd Wright or something like that. And so they made it so it's Farewell Lisa Frank Lloyd Wright, and then it's just all about her stickers and binders, and it's great. It's useless, but it's great.
I think for all of us, I feel like we have the tendency, especially as we get older, to get lazier if we're not careful. I mean, to start taking the easier way, to not take so many stairs, to like not push ourselves, whatever it is. And we have all of our reasons why we do, and like how we've earned this ability now, or whatever it is. But I think that the reality is that our world is always changing, and we're built for change, and we don't like change, but we're built for it. And I think that I remember I had a pretty lengthy conversation with a good friend of mine that owns a copywriting business, and he was bemoaning some of the copywriting AI, because I felt like that's where we started seeing a lot of it start really emerging, was out of copywriting. And he was bemoaning some of it, but what I told him was, bro, I think that you should rethink how you're looking at it, because what you have as an advantage with customers is sometimes they don't know how to ask for what the magic is. Yeah, there's good copy that come out of that, but the best hooks, and the best lead-in questions, and where you want this to go. And I think if you can change your business model from the actual writing to actually how do you consult somebody on how to use AI for their copywriting, that just opens up a whole new marketing segment that's a lot less cumbersome and heavy on you to bear, because something else is helping with the lift. If you can just begin to rewrap your business model to make yourself still the expert, like that's the change that I think all of us should be working towards. And even for us, I think all of us are always, technology is grows, it's always going to edge us out if we're not careful, unless we begin to find the sweet spot of how do we bring our expertise into a way that we can begin to shape the conversation or shape whatever it is that comes on the back. And I think ChatGPT is a great example of that. Like Taryn has to have the right questions that he's asking, and he's got to be able to give it what he needs. And then the consulting in that would be, okay, so what are the best set of questions to get the best results? And how can we then have the machines, have the automations, do the heavy lift, but then we're still the ones that are providing some of the directive and the smarts. But
yeah, I agree. And I think, there's like wanting to utilize these things for laziness. Like you said, like I want to do less work, so I'm just going to make this do it for me. And then there's wanting to utilize it for efficiency, to where if I can save 10 minutes on an SOP, I'm not just going to go watch TV for 10 minutes because it did that. I'm going to move on to something else and spend that 10 minutes on something that only I can do. ChatGPT still can't create the multi-level process that is very specific to this company, their applications, and their needs that went into this SOP. It can just dissect a bunch of information. I fed it and spit it out in a pretty way and save me 10 minutes, and I move on to another SOP.
Yeah, that's good. Who do we have visiting us this morning, Savannah?
This is Clark.
Hi, Clark. Everybody likes Pet Share Day. Moose never visits anymore. And I'm so bummed.
Oh, he's not here.
Dang it. And Prairie, I know Prairie isn't a big show girl, but I haven't seen her in a long time either.
No, I got her a plug-in cat bed.
And now she never leaves.
She leaves sometimes when she wants love, but during the day, during nap time, she's there.
That's great.
It's pretty good. Well, I mean, it's fun to see, progress. I mean, obviously things are always going to change. We can't stop change. We can't stop these things from happening. People always reference when cars were invented, everybody thought the guy that created wheels for horse and buggies would go out of business. It's like, okay, well, maybe he did go out of business, but new people had to go into business to create wheels for the new cars. So it's like, although some things that are created put other things out of business, they also provide opportunities for new things that you can move into. So it's just always trying to remember, not to die with these things that are being replaced, but then move with them. Like Aaron said, okay, how can you turn that into an advantage? And I realize that's a really good skill set to have. That's something we love showcasing in here on Ops Experts, is everybody that's in this workspace that's always changing, evolving, all those different new apps, integrations, all the apps you use, upgrading constantly so you don't even know how to use them anymore. It's 1 year later and you're like, but I thought it could do this. And it's like, no, we took that off. We didn't like it. It's like, why did you not consult me? I loved that.
And it kind of, sorry.
Go, Savannah. Ladies first.
I was just going to say, I think that people have felt kind of like stagnant in tech for like a few years. Like, I feel like people are even talking about, like, we like went through this huge, really fast, like acceleration of things. And then we've kind of slowed down a little bit. And so I feel like this is like a really fun, like we picked up the pace again. And now we're kind of like on the brink of almost kind of like a new, like a little industrial revolution kind of thing, or we're refiguring out again, like smartphones. That was like a huge, and then we've kind of like been sitting comfortably in what we're doing. So I feel like this is like, we're about to see the next like big push kind of take off. And I'm really excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think honestly, like the stories that we all love to listen to and be a part of are the hero's journeys, right? The ones where it's not like just everything was just even and cool and my life was really easy and then I died. Like nobody wants to hear that story. Like we want to hear like what were the dragons you slayed, man, and what were the dark days where you thought you weren't going to see it out on the other side, and like tell me how you fought your way through that and give me some inspiration on how I can fight through mine. And I think things like this, new introductions in the market space, to Taryn's point of the guy that was making wagon wheels had a choice. Like, could he innovate and take what he knew? Because he probably had the front curve, right, of exactly what goes into making wheels, like, and could have taken that and used it to innovate. But instead, he settled on not making innovation, and therefore his hero's journey isn't that exciting. You know what I mean? Or like, did he fail and had to go reinvent himself to do something else? And then that's an exciting tale to listen to as well. So if you're discouraged about ChatGPT, then just know this: there's a hero's journey on the other side of it. So find it. Find the curve. Find the curve for all of us.
Yep. You can complain about it and do nothing, or you can just accept it and do something. So thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Savannah. This has been a fun show and tell. I love looking at some cool tools with y'all. Appreciate you today. And next week we will have on another fun guest.
Yes, right. About
to
our guest this week.
So,
Yep.
thank you all. We'll see you again next week.
See everybody.